Welcome to Dead Reckoning TV. I'm your host, Jay Friesen, with Dr. Brian Mattson, and we're looking at why the world is foo but not bar from a Christian perspective. And this week is the second of 2 episodes regarding alternate worldviews with misery, suffering, and death. Brian, this time it could all be in our head.
Well, believe it or not, there's a lot of people, Jay, who actually do think that suffering, misery, and death is all in your head. I have in mind a worldview that has a lot of different subgroups in it. Last week we talked about the naturalistic worldview. This one's a little bit different, and I have in mind particularly the Eastern religions, Hinduism and Buddhism, but there's a lot of different family members in this group. You've got ancient Gnosticism, the New Age movement, paganism, Christian Science. Mary Baker Eddy, this lady came up with this whole religion of Christian Science, which says that sickness and suffering and death doesn't exist, believe it or not. Scientology, your problem is bad programming, right? We got to deprogram you. These worldviews all actually believe that suffering and death is an illusion. It's a product of your mind because you are in the Matrix. Now, it sounds funny, right? But actually, that's what the Wachowski brothers were doing in that trilogy, is actually exploring Eastern mysticism and this sort of a worldview. The idea is that you are trapped in a matrix. In Buddhism, they call this samsara, the great wheel of material existence. It's the same in Hinduism, and in all of these worldviews, as a matter of fact, that we are caught up in a realm of matter and time and space and change, and this isn't the real world. The real world is what you really belong to, and that is you're a spiritual being and you belong to the spiritual oneness of all things. This material world of sickness, suffering, misery, and death is actually an illusion. They call this Maya, illusion. It's not real. It's an illusion. It is actually all in your head. So it's the corruption of our minds that makes us think that these things are really real. And the idea or object in this worldview is to actually get in touch with our spiritual selves, become enlightened to recognize or realize that we actually exist and belong in some other realm. Remember what I was saying about an otherworldly religion? People thought Christianity was all about checking out and bailing out the ejection seat and we're out of here. No, actually it's the Eastern mystical religions that are totally otherworldly religions. They believe that we're checking out. And that does actually mean that you downplay misery, suffering, and death in the here and now and in this world. Now, lots of people take this view. It's very popular. It's becoming increasingly popular. But again, I want to ask people who are tending this direction, or perhaps they already are, do share these worldviews, to count the cost. What's the cost? What's the trade-off in having this view of reality, that we're all in the matrix and suffering isn't real? The cost is very similar to the cost when it comes to naturalism. Let me take as an example the songwriter and singer Sarah McLachlan. Sarah McLachlan is a fabulous musician. She is from what I understand, is a neo-pagan. She takes this kind of a worldview, and she has this very famous song, one of the most overplayed songs, probably has to be in history. They're still overplaying this song. You can't go to a coffee shop without hearing it. It's the song Adia. Well, how does that song begin? It starts out, Adia, I do believe I've failed you. Adia, I think I've let you down. Okay, so now we have a problem. There's a conflict of some kind in this song. Sarah has failed this person, Adia. And how are we going to resolve this? Because we got conflict. It's got to be resolved somehow. Do you remember how that gets resolved? What's the chorus of that song? Can you sing it, Jay? Okay, you want me to sing it. We are born innocent. Believe me, Adia, we are still innocent. It's easy We all falter. Does it matter? Does it matter? We all falter. Does it matter? Talk about denial. Talk about denying misery, suffering, and death, hurting and harming other people, when your answer at the end of the day is, does it matter? Really? You tell that to the parents. You tell that to the parents of the children murdered at Sandy Hook. You tell that to people whose lives are destroyed. We all falter. Does it matter? Oh, you better believe it matters. That is denial of the first order. That guess what? Sin, suffering, and misery isn't really real. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. I want you to count the cost. If that's the kind of world we live in, guess what? You don't get to complain anymore. You don't get to complain. Just like the naturalist, no more complaining about misery and death. And here's what I want to say. You know better. When Sandy Hook happens, when tragedies happen, you know it matters. And if you follow the path of the denial worldview, you're going to be denying what you actually know to be true. That righteous indignation, that anger at misery, suffering, and death that rises up and wells up within you, you do know better. That worldview is false. It is a false path, and that's not a way that you want to go. You know better. And next week, we're going to talk about why Christianity offers the only real solution.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Brian. And next week, join us as we look at how the Christian faith responds to misery, suffering, and death, and why it's such a vital important to our faith and our worldview. If you like us, subscribe to us, Facebook, YouTube, Vimeo, Daily Motion, wherever you like to watch videos. You've been watching Dead Reckoning TV. You can email us at drtv@redfutonfilms.com. Join us next week. I'm your host, Jay Friesen, with Dr. Brian Mattson, and this is Dead Reckoning TV.
What a scandal that this appointed spokesman for God could ever suffer such a horrible, brutal fate, right? That's Islam. God does not dirty his hands with things like misery, suffering, and death. He's totally aloof. He is way above and beyond it. How different Christianity is that? No, God is not above it and aloof. God enters it, takes it on, faces it, and kills